Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Raising NA, the show that is way too cool for a tagline. It's your boy Smacks here with my good friends Cubby and Rafa, and I'm realizing that I can hear myself, so I'm going to mute that tab. All right, it's saved. Hi, everyone. We're here to talk about Academy.
What's good, gamers?
It's good to be back. We got, what, 2 days until, or 3 days now until Academy kicks off on Wednesday, and we've already seen, like, 2 rosters in action, one a lot, and a couple other teams doing subs, so that's fun. For today, we're going to preview Academy. We're going to give our predictions for the Proving Grounds event, for who gets out of groups, and talk a little bit about that. But where we are going to start is actually when it comes to what we've seen so far from our Academy teams, and that is going over a little bit of lock-in, mostly focusing on how some of the Academy teams performed.
Yes, and let's just start with lock-in, I think, because that's the thing that went on today. We're recording this on Sunday and streaming it live on Twitch on Sunday as well. It's been going on all this weekend. We got to see a lot of the Academy players, actually. More so than I'm sure the LCS teams would have intended for this event.
Maybe would have preferred, but
yeah, maybe some visa issues.
Honestly,
and whatnot.
I like it. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Demacia and Kespa Cup, so the fact that this feels like this, I know I'm in the minority in terms of where I sit with fans, and I might be a little bit biased, but I really don't mind, and I think it gives you a few surprises and different narratives, and I think a good place to start with that, since we'd probably be starting at a high note, is talking about TSMA.
Yeah, TSMA winning a game.
Yes.
Pretty sick.
So how we're kind of gonna do this or format this is we have a lot of preseason expectations when it comes to these teams. We're gonna kind of frame the discussion is, are the teams meeting, exceeding, or below the expectation that we had them in? And I think for TSMA, given the fact that they actually won a game, is very much exceeding for me. I was not, I have them as a bottom 4 Academy roster in spring with some nice developmental pieces, especially in the bot lane. And guess what? They actually won. Maybe a little bit of luck was involved against FlyQuest, but you know what? We take those. Baron steals count, baby.
It was a long, drawn-out game. We went to 50 minutes, but I think still credit goes to TSM Academy deserved. I think being able to have clear enough communication to determine, okay, let's lure them towards the Elder Dragon, let's set up this wave beforehand, and then set up Viper to TP backdoor and just end the game is just you want critical thinking towards the late parts of the game, and for a roster that is still coming together in the off season it's nice to see. And before people write FlyQuest off is like, oh, well, that's an easy opponent. FlyQuest just took down 100 Thieves today, and it's not like 100 Thieves. I know, Cubby, this look is like, okay, there's like a pre-warn, but I still think that 100 Thieves, even with Tenacity in, Tenacity was not the problem, and I want to stop that narrative right now. If people are thinking, oh, they sub in Tenacity and now 100 Thieves are playing subpar. No, FlyQuest just showed up to play today, and 100 Thieves did not deal with the bot lane issue that was becoming a problem in Johnson and
FlyQuest was a lot better today.
I think that it was 2 different teams that showed up the last 2 days, so that's kind of why I scoffed at it. That's the only reason why. I thought FlyQuest, 100 Thieves definitely had to be really aggressive in that draft, but the fact that FBI and Hui lost Flash at level 3 to Johnson and Afromu, I think really changed the flow of that game. Because then Nautilus couldn't roam mid and they couldn't 3-man the Corki, which we've been seeing a lot of in LPL for the teams playing against Corki. But I don't want to get too much stuck on the LCS teams. I'm going to stick to some of our Academy performers. Is either of you against exceeds expectations for what we saw at TSMA? They have one more game left.
TSM?
Yeah.
I predicted them to lose 4 games, and that's not because I think that's a bad team. I just think that they weren't quite ready to.
In LCS, they're a bad team.
Yeah, exactly. I personally think they're really good in Academy, and I think what they showed on stage proves a lot of that, and it actually goes one step further, because I'm really excited about this the top lane meta that Viper is bringing to the table, the marksman. We know that he is really good at this, and he's not the only one around the world who's playing this. We did see G2 pull out the Corki top lane as well, and if there's any player in all of North America that I would trust to do this, it is Viper. So just the fact that they're already giving him the reins to do this confirms my suspicions that their initial default as a team is going to be to like very heavily play around him and make him a strong side player with a lot of aggression from mid jungle with Hyper and Takeover. And I think that works really well. I think this team is going to be very, very good at that. And yeah, that showed it to me. I'm super, super pumped for these guys.
So
I also think Instinct did pretty well.
I don't want to spoil, like, I guess, like, where our Academy rankings are in full, but just since we're talking about TSM here, where do you have TSM in your overall Academy rankings?
So I don't know the exact number. I don't have it up, but I think I have them 4th. I have them
really?
in the same realm as Golden Guardians. Yeah, I have TSM and Golden Guardians around.
I put TSM Academy at 6. I think they're especially like right now. I'm really excited about the individual players on this roster, and I was mostly concerned about how well they're going to be able to gel together and like find a cohesive identity. I'm definitely I appreciate that a lot of the stuff that they're trying in this LCS Lock In tournament is the stuff that I would have wanted to see them try in Academy Week 1, which is playing toward Viper and giving them counter pick. Obviously, it's not being as successful as they would like it to be because you're playing against higher quality teams that are not going to let these counter pick situations slide as much, and they're putting a lot of pressure and not letting Viper run away with a lot of these lane advantages that you're getting. Like you're getting, 20 CS leads in these counter picks, but TSM Academy are not able to translate that advantage into mid game advantages that accelerate the rest of the team. And so that's where they're starting to fall apart. And I think that just really comes down to can Hyper and Takeover start with your son, like start looking for these 3-man core plays. A lot of what actually we saw out of FlyQuest today between Jose Dioto, Aframu, and Takui, which made them super, super great looking in their win against 100 Thieves.
Okay, that's interesting. So for reference, I have TSMA. This is before I saw a single game of their themselves play. I have them at 9th in terms of my Academy team rankings. And I feel pretty confident in saying that I think they're going to be a bottom 4 team this year, at least for spring. And I think that something that's going to be really interesting to watch when it comes to TSMA is I think exactly what Rafa was talking about, in the sense that they're on the big stage, they're playing full comfort, right? Which got them their win against FlyQuest. Like, that is a draft that I looked at as someone that follows TSMA, and I was like, yeah, I don't care what team TSMA is facing. They can win games with this draft, right? That was exactly how they won 80% of their games in summer of last year, right? With a similar lineup. My concern is when Academy comes around, are they actually going to be pushing their players to play more things and more styles? I think that was a real... I think that because of how the roster was built last year, they had every player kind of specialize in one thing, and then just swapped out mids when they wanted to play different styles. That's not going to be the case this year, right? You can't swap out players. Right. You have to push your players to develop and do more things. And I mean, they're playing on the LCS stage. They aren't going to, we had no expectations for them. I think across the board, we had them all going 0-4, right? I'm totally fine with them playing their comfort, looking good. I think that they have had some good looks. I think that, as you rightly pointed out, Instinct has had a pretty nice performance for not playing a single game in Academy yet. I want to see them do other things in Academy. I want to see them push the envelope and actually execute different strats and actually look to push these players to do more things, because if they're just doing the same thing every single game in Academy, that is playing for results. Academy is not about playing for results. It's about playing to get better and then getting the results at the end of the year, right? And I want to see if TSM pushes the envelope with that this year, because it really felt like they did not do that last year. and I think that really hampered their play as the season progressed into playoffs. So
here, here's my then challenge, and I'm gonna open the floor also to Smacks as well, so you can both to like answer this question. If let's put you in the perspective of being the coach for TSM Academy, and not only you know they're playing in this lock-in tournament, but now you're looking forward to a first spring split for putting together these 5 players. Now this isn't the first split for Viper or for Takeover Instinct, Urson and Hyper. This is the first Academy split for Instinct, but everyone else has had at least 2 splits under their belt of Academy, or 1. So Hyper 2, Takeover technically 2,
a fragmented 2, yeah,
fragmented 2,
Same with your
and then Viper, and now this is Viper second split, right? So with that in perspective, what are the goals that you want to set for, like, because you're talking about pushing the envelope, but like, when do you want to see that? Like, do you want to see, like, okay, the first 4 weeks, let's get a cohesive comfort identity set up. This is our go-to. This is what we will do when we want to win games. We need to make sure, because I would imagine when you find that, you want to make sure that it works first before you start diversifying your team and what compositions you want to run, right? So like, when do you think by week 3, by week 4, this team should have this before they, like, I want to ask you guys, like, what are like the time deadlines, but that this team should have this down and then they should do this afterwards, and et cetera, starting with Cubby.
When the time's right. I mean, I don't know. Like, I Takeover has yet to play a game of like Twisted Fate, Oriana, Victor. Like, let's see it, right? Like when Academy comes around, if it's in the meta and those champs are like force him to learn that kind of stuff. Urson played 69 out of the 78 games on 4 champions.
Nice.
Those are the ones that he's been playing on the stage. Force him to learn more stuff. He only played 8 unique champs all of last year between both splits. Like, make him play Lulu, right? You're never going to get better and be LCS ready if we're just going to say you can't play Lulu, right? Like, we don't feel comfortable that, like, you're going to win a game on that. Now, that's fine come stage time, right? Or there's a balance, right? I really feel like for Academy, I could care less if you lose a game in a best 2. I mean, if you're going to try a strat and it looks ugly, whatever. If you're a coach and you feel like that's going to help pay off, like, as the season goes on, that you play 36 games in the season, who cares, right? I think that I just want to see TSM actually try and push things, because they played very narrow archetypes for every single one of their players last year and played the same comp every game. And that's why at the end of the year, they were a bottom 4 team, because everyone had them figured out.
Smacks.
Well, Cubby gave the cop-out answer of when the time is right, so I don't think I can have a answer more correct than that, unfortunately.
Or
but
you could be more Chad
when
than
the time
Cubby
is wrong,
and give a solid prediction timeline, so that because
I want to see it week 1.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah,
Cubby.
I want to
All
see it
right,
week 1. Yeah, I'm
right.
looking out for week 1 if they're actually, like, if you're gonna play like Vayne top, please play TF.
yeah,
like,
that's pretty fair.
Play stuff like this, right? So I want to see if they can actually, like, mold strategies that, like, fit and force their players to play other stuff. Because if you're just going to play the same archetype every single game, you will not be a successful team, like, come later, right? An Academy is about developing throughout the season, making sure that your players are individually improving, and then that hopefully gets you the results in the end. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. Like, if they're going to have, like, 1 or 2 players that they just, like, adapt to their comfort, and then everyone else, like, picks things that work with it, I think that makes a lot more sense and is more aligned with what I think will end up happening with them, which is they'll find a pretty good strategy that works for, like, a couple of the players and gets them associated with the team, and then later on they can switch over to, like, another player. Like, say they start off a split doing what they're doing right now with Viper on Marksman, and then they're like, all right, this works really well, we're going to switch gears, and we're gonna try to make sure that like Instinct can actually carry us games. So then they have all these different avenues.
Force your team
of
to do multiple
approaching the game.
things. Yes.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair. And
yeah,
do I expect them to immediately start that in week 1? No, I don't think they're going to. I wouldn't either if I was their coach. I would maybe like sprinkle a few of those games in like scrims and see if it works out there. And then when they feel more confident after that, then I would probably like find a situation in a draft like specifically against a certain team, and then try to see if it works into that. I would take this a lot more gradually than you're going about it, Cubby. I feel like you're taking it a bit haphazard, honestly, because I feel like for a player like Instinct just coming in, like trying to find a baseline for like how not just how your team works, but how a team works, and getting like all the communication down and working in the system and playing all these games in a split. I think that's more valuable to a player like Instinct, and also to like Hyper as well, who's very recent too. I think that's going to be a lot more forgiving for them later on. And also, I just think strong side top is going to work really well for this team. I think they're just very well built to do that. So I think it's
I think that argument is fair for Instinct because this is literally his academy debut, right? But yeah. I can give a little bit of also respect to Cubby's expectations of takeover, because
it's LCS versus academy too. Like I'm totally fine with them doing this in the LCS stage. It's just one academy hits. Right. Please, like, as a team, whoever does it, push the envelope, learn new strats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they didn't do that all of last year. So
would you also want Viper to play tanks so that we can open up like strong side bot side of the map as well?
I'm with Sam in that I think that this team's best strategy to win is to play toward like through and towards Viper. But I want to see them try and do both, right? Like and I think that if you have Viper on your team, you got to play towards what this guy does, and that's not always about what Instinct plays. Sometimes that's about, hey, we got to play TF this game, or hey, like we've got to play something that can help facilitate getting top. Pairing Vayne Aphelios is not good, and I get that they're doing that for comfort, right? But that shouldn't be like that's not a sound strategy once you get to the like academy stage. I feel like you're only going to win games with hands. Like I don't feel like you're building up to something where you can win, right?
Well, also, like, you can play to bot on Camille and Gwen, right? Like, you can pick those champions in the top lane and play to bot. Those champions are still like completely stable without resources.
It depends on matchup, and if I'm picking Camille, I'm playing towards it usually like 90% of the time. That's like Camille.
Sure, but I guess with the TP changes, it changes a little bit. But if you have like Camille Galio on your team, you can just play to bot with that before the TP changes. Maybe that's completely just not true anymore. But I feel like there are champions that are not Ornn that Viper can pick, and you can still play to bot lane, and it's fine. But yeah, I'm a lot. Cubby and I talked about this before. We went live like maybe like a week ago, because we did our power rankings and we showed each other, and he had them way different than I did. And
for this team specifically,
yeah, for TSM, not a lot of the other teams, but specifically for this one, I think we're kind of on the same page with what we expect this team to be good at. I think the bit about like what we think this team is going to be bad at is a little bit different. So I think Instinct is really serviceable as a carry as well. And I'm not saying that you don't, Cubby, but I think that eventually, if they do decide to throw some more strategies in there after they've set this baseline of communication and who is going to do that on this team, I think it's going to come easier to them later on down the road.
Yeah, I mean the difference is you're high on Hyper and Takeover, and I'm not. That's why we have different rankings. Really that's why we have different rankings. So
yeah. Also, there's always a chance that there's like a complete meta shift in Proving Grounds, and then like Riven is the best champion in the game, and then this team is just like the best instantly. So
it doesn't have to be Riven though, right? I mean,
no, that's the example, you know.
And just because,
Viper's Camille was litty in Proving Grounds last year.
True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, it could be Camille, Aurelia, Fiora, like any strong split pusher that becomes like insanely good as a counter pick situation, right? Right now, I'm still after this, I have a lot of homework to do. I had a long talk with Cubby about like, holy shit, there's just so much of the meta that I'm like not caught up on because I've been out of the country. And
it takes you by surprise this offseason.
Yeah,
it's a lot of really subtle stuff.
I saw a tier on Hecarim today, and I'm like, wait, that's a thing, and I'm getting caught off guard by things like Moramana Graves, Moramana Hecarim, or Fimbulwinter Hecarim, the freaking Fimbulwinter Gragas. That doesn't seem as like out of the ordinary for me. It's like, oh yeah, like
that was in Wild Rift.
Yeah, I mean we fucking come from Wild Rift, so like Fimbulwinter, that's a Wild Rift exclusive. So we knew that shit was gonna be good on front lines and tanks that want to cast off cooldown, right? So that's a given, but. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I just need to like. So after raising NA, I'm going back and watching a bunch of LCK VODs I'm gonna choose.
We're playing some League.
What?
So we playing some League tonight?
We could. You know, I'd be down.
Window.
I need to eat and then also watch LCK. That's
wow,
my.
We're talking about future date plans amongst the group here.
Yeah.
We got.
Cubby, you were invited to join.
Yeah,
by the way, just saying.
I think we're gonna talk about GGA next, and I'll tell you if I'm gonna join later or not.
I did want to segue us into GGA.
Yeah.
I just got caught up by items, but yes, Golden Guardians Academy. This is Tony Top, Iconic, Ryoma. They're currently using Stixxay right now until Violet comes back.
Comes over.
Yeah. And Chime. Is it Violet?
It's Chime.
It is Violet. Yeah.
Violet's on the
All right, gents. Okay. Where are we at? Are we exceeds? Are we meets? Or are we below?
Well, I think it's a bit below, but I'm gonna have a really big asterisks for this because I can't imagine that Stixxay is at his peak form right now.
And I don't know, man. Stixxay has been carrying the game. If you've watched the AM games, man, he's been the hard carry.
But today that was not the case.
Today, yeah, that's true.
His Ezreal was definitely caught out a bunch of times.
He was just trying to cosplay Luger, you know.
There was specifically the one time where he tried to E out of an Everfrost and he just like face planted into the wall in bottom lane and almost died because of it to Kumo's Gragas.
I was listening to Smacks in voice call, and the bias was strong against Stixxay today. Smacks.
Okay, that's not biased. That was just true. Go back and watch the clip. I'm describing it perfectly.
Smacks was flaming the shit out of Stixxay. It was kind of funny. It was
warranted. He tries to dodge an Everfrost with Arcade Shift. He face plants the wall, still gets rooted, and then has to flash to get out of there. Kumo's chasing him down as Gragas. He barely escapes. But anyway, again, this is a big asterisk because again, I don't think this
putting you on blast so that someone clips this and then sends it to Trevor, and Trevor's just like, "Man, who's this guy flaming me?" Okay. I'm just kidding. He
would agree with me. I don't think he's in peak form right now. He's winning the split, thinking
technically he is a positional coach, and he's subbing in right now to play. So yeah, that is fair.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Okay.
This team, I don't know whether it's good or bad. They're playing in 3 tournaments at the moment because when I watched their amateur games, I was like, you guys need to play more stage games. This team at the moment for me is actually pretty far below expectations. I mean, when we looked at like Ryoma, I really thought Ryoma was the best mid and one of the best players that was in Academy in Summer Split. And him and Iconic are just not on the same page or the same wavelength right now. I think that Tony Top is still facing a lot of the weaknesses that he faced in the last season, where if he isn't able to utilize his champion pool to win with a counter pick, he looks really weak and gets abused in blind pick situations. His Renekton is not that strong at the moment, and it's getting really beat up in some of the matchups because Renekton's one of the better blinds at the moment as well. And then Chime is with the messier games, I think at the moment isn't finding as good of engages as I saw out of him in summer of LCS. I thought he actually played all right in LCS and did a good job of helping save that team because no one on that team could engage except for him. And I think that right now it's kind of a mess, which they don't have their full roster. It is early season.
Yeah.
But I expect more out of this roster given the fact that there really isn't a dev piece on there. Like, Tony Top is technically the person with the least amount of experience. I know that for Iconic, it's his second year in the system, but he was in LCS last season, so I kind of expected he picked up more knowledge. Who are they developing? Like, it has to be Tony Top, right? And I see a lot of the same issues that Tony was having at the end of last season as well. So I think I'm going to be looking for those to improve, and maybe if he starts playing better, they can start getting that more sound strategy where Sodigo was so good at enabling Lorlo on the Dignitas team with Will. That's where they found a lot of success. That's kind of what I expect to see, but this team is actually like well below where I had them early season. And if I could go back and adjust my, like, before I've seen anything power rankings, I would move them lower.
I can't speak on their amateur game performances because I haven't seen them. I think the only Proving Grounds game I saw was Cinnamon Bread. Literally just the one game where Cinnamon Bread and the UCI took a game off of Golden Guardians Academy, which was pretty. And so I got my fucking Cinnamon Bread tweet in, but yeah, I haven't seen the rest of like any Proving Grounds games whatsoever. I think I've just seen Twitter results and I've just seen like numbers. So I have to eventually go back and watch some stuff, but you'll have to do a lot of the filling in for me for now, at least when we get to the Proving Grounds portion of our show tonight. I will say in the lock-in tournament so far, Golden Guardians Academy, I'm willing to give them a pass for the first week because they are playing a lot of games, so that they're getting a lot of reps in, but they clearly need the reps because the synergy is off, right? So, but I'm hoping. I on the one hand, I think it's cool that they're playing in a shit ton of tournaments and they're getting a lot of reps. But the other hand, I hope there's enough downtime in between games that they can actually go back and critically reflect not only as individuals, but then like, I don't know if you ever did this with your team, Cubby, but I truly believe that there's value in having individual critical reflection time before you come together as a team so that everyone as individuals has had time to think about, okay, what were the things that I saw this game that need to be like corrected or fixed, and then bring it together as a team rather than immediately after a game, okay, what do we need to fix as a team before everyone has had a chance to like look back on things. Am I wrong in thinking that?
I mean, at this level, if it doesn't matter, like if you're doing a team review, you're not going to harp on individual mistakes. Like everyone is expected to go back and fix that on their own, right? Like that's just the expectation.
Sure. But what if like the individual spot something that the team is doing wrong and they haven't had a chance to like reflect or process that because they're just caught up in the game?
I mean, it just depends on like who you got or the team. I really can't like speak on like anything like that. I think that the only interesting like thing about GGA at the moment is that they looked better in their LCS games. I feel like the AM teams, like just throwing shit at them, actually caught them more off guard. And I can't emphasize enough. Like for me, it's the biggest concern that I had about GGA, like this split, is that they legit just got hand checked by 100 Thieves Next. Like they were down. 100 Thieves Next was down like 5K in that game. And they just came back by freaking hand checking an academy team, right? I know that Sniper's really good. Like if Sniper was 17, that kid should be in LCS today, right? But they got hand checked by an amateur team. Like that for me is like the biggest red flag. Like when it comes to a team that they have a lot of experience, and I know that they're not on the same page right now. I will give them that benefit of the doubt. But they kind of need to like figure out how to pull it together. And I have a higher expectations for them because those players have more experience under their belt than some of the other academy teams. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. And yeah, I think that I am worried for GGA. They look like a bottom 4 team at the moment. We haven't seen the rest of the academy teams, but they do look like a bottom 4 team at the moment.
I want to say one other thing about Golden Guardians Academy. I feel really bad for Ioma because he had to play Zoe and Afrim was Bard. That is so not fun at all. The Zoe and DeBard is the worst thing imaginable, man.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
I felt awful watching.
Who was he winning against again that game? Or
I don't remember. I just remember seeing. I was watching. I was counting the times that he got hit by Bard ults after using Portal Jump.
I'm blanking on that matchup that game. Let me check Lock In.
But yeah, that was a tough watch for sure.
Cool.
We're getting somebody said it was Syndra.
I don't love that matchup for Zoe.
That's true as well. Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, especially when it's Syndra Xin against Trundle Zoe. It's kind of tough. Yeah, and you have Gragas into mostly this.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
check W.
All right, moving on. All right, moving on.
Okay, so those are the full teams, right? We also have 3/5. We got Cloud9 with 3/5 of the roster. Also, they are playing Sven, so no King yet. So kind of 2/5. But anyway, we have some gamers there. I'm gonna get ahead of Cubby's question here. Darshan is an LCS level player right now for me.
Whoa.
This is sick.
Whoa, I revolutionary. Dude, the community cannot handle this. This is dangerous, man. There's no way a community can handle the fact that an MSI finalist actually has been an LCS level player still for the last 3 years. They can't handle the truth.
I'm just saying it flat out so that people know where we are now.
Okay, to be fair,
we all knew this.
If Snacks was talking to fucking Twitch chat who likes to meme on any Academy player playing in LCS, then it's always them that we have to convince, or Reddit. It's so fucking.
We'll say
Darshan's so good.
So the him versus Viper, I actually have those two players as my two best top laners in Academy for spring. I think both of those players are like the two tops that you could plug and play into LCS tomorrow, and they would hold their own. And depending on games, do more than hold their own. Yeah, man, Darshan is. I mean, he's been a top 5 player for the last 3 years in Academy. Like, I really feel that way.
Yep.
Like, he has been a real standout, and everyone just writes him off because, like, oh, he peaked. Like, he already did well in international events. Like, no, man, this guy is still really good. And I really believe that, like, he could slot in. And I think this will be a theme that we start seeing more and more this year, is that Academy players from some of those top 5 orgs, we believe would be able to slot into the LCS, but are still on, like, those top 5 orgs. And I think that might be a running theme this year.
I'm going to get ahead of it just a little bit and say that Ayla also is very clearly on that level.
Yes. So
Liquid.
When it comes to kind of sticking to the theme of meeting and exceeds expectations, I will say that Darshan has exceeded my expectations. I have high expectations for Darshan. I think that he has played very well in his games on the LCS stage. For Ayla, he meets my expectations. You know why? This guy is actually that freaking good. And, like,
true.
We all, like, Ayla, Isles are two players that should also be in LCS. Everyone couldn't stop talking about them throughout all of last year in Academy. And because of roster situations and visas and green cards, each team decided it was in their best interest to hold on to them for their own roster to make sure they had good backups for LCS. And so they're going to be in Academy again, which is cool. But, man, like, yeah, I think Isles has played fine. Ayla's been the standout, but...
Yep.
Yeah. Also,
he's landing with Hans Sama, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Hans has been good. He's been really good.
And
Hans Sama pretty good. Turns
been really
out.
good.
Shout out my boy Jan.
Luger Poom did solo kill them.
Like, I also want to say,
on
even in the team Liquid loss against Evil Geniuses, Jan played pretty damn well.
Yes. So
which is
Jan,
super dope.
Like, I think viewers might find this weird when I say that Ayla has met my expectations and Jan has actually exceeded them. I know that Jan was on the one game he was on Aphelios, but they didn't lose that game because of Jan. They lost that game because of what Jat pointed out on the screen. If anyone caught that LCS segment going into the TL game, check it out. It was a really good telestrated segment.
Really good.
Yeah, it was really well done. And Bjergsen got caught on mages. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Jan played well that game.
That was a good piece of content. I'm glad Jet's back. I Yeah.
He's really good at what he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So just side tangent before we get into our last couple of academy players playing this week. I'm really fucking pleased with the LCS broadcast so far. There's been a lot of production hiccups, but I think the on-air talent has been really surprising me. I didn't expect
LCS
it to be
waiting room.
Nice. I didn't expect it to be such a strong start for a majority of the talent already so far. The waiting room segments have been great.
Yeah,
I love the analyst desks. The analyst desks have been really good so far. And shout out to Mark Z and Pastry Time. They have been undeniably my favorite casting pair so far. They have been freaking Jat. I love Jat being back. Captain Flowers and Azael, or Captain Flowers and Kobe, you could never go wrong, right? But Pastry Time and Mark Z really surprised me as a casting duo, and they've been the freshest sound, and I really enjoy listening to them so far.
I agree. Those guys are so good.
Yeah, big ups to talent on the show. I do not feel the same way about.
Emily is still my favorite.
I actually really dislike the second day waiting room. They did a really terrible job at previewing some of the rookies that came in that day. And just talked about Bjergsen for 20 minutes, which I didn't appreciate.
Okay. That criticism is fair. Criticism is fair.
I guess I'm showing my, the bad part. I only watched the first one for LCS waiting room. I did not watch the second.
All right.
So
moving on. So expectations. We covered the TL players. I think we've hit on the C9 players as well. Isles for me is a meets. He's just been around. Honestly, I feel like he's playing fine, but he hasn't been a standout for me.
Yeah, agreed.
And let's see.
XU.
XU. Oh, XU exceeds.
Yeah.
He's gotten his champs, but I mean, Dig actually won a game, and so that's an exceeds.
Yeah, my boy Lauren,
let's go.
That was so sick.
Some of the graduating talent that we had that we wanted to cover real quick. Tenacity, JoJo, and all of CLG. So starting with CLG. CLG are exactly what I thought they would be, and I love it. Luger, Poom, and Contracts, the three of them play like absolute crackheads. The solo laners are falling a little bit behind early, but I feel like they will clean that up as things go on. And that team is going to upset a lot of teams and have a lot of a lot of losses that look really bad. But I think they're a good team, and I legitimately think in lane, Luger, Poom are going to be a top 3 LCS bot lane. In lane.
Yes.
I will throw that asterisk in there. But I think they're really good.
They're so good. They're so good. CLG.
Yes. Okay. So CLG, for me, it's a meets, but I feel like a lot of community will be surprised with how they're playing.
Oh, very surprised. Yeah.
JoJo, he's actually an exceeds.
Yeah, agree. So, okay, I wanna talk about something about JoJo Pion, because I really like that people are instantly super hyped about this guy. Of course they should be. He's really good. He's been playing really well. I am a little worried that we're having an Icarus moment, because I think there are some people that are like, oh, JoJo Pion is the best mid laner in LCS right now. And while I really like hyping up this guy, I don't know. Maybe I'm just nervous from past experiences of having academy players get super hyped up and then burn. But I don't know, man. Is he the best mid laner LCS like some people are saying? I don't know. It's very early to say.
I think in lane he's in this tournament. So not all starting mids are playing, right?
Yeah.
But in this tournament, in lane, JoJo's been top 3, and I think he has been a top 3 mid in this tournament. Now,
top 3 is cool. I'm completely down.
I actually think that a part of this is that Inspired and Vulcan are absolutely pissing on everyone else in the role.
That's
they are.
I think Vulcan,
oh my god, Vulcan.
I think Vulcan has been the best player of Lock In so far.
I think between him and Inspired, they've been the 2 best. Right.
Yep.
That helps. That there is, and this was the game plan for EG, right? Which I like.
Yeah.
I do think that JoJo though, he has been beyond my expectations, because the only times that he has inted, it's been at times that don't matter. And it has been somewhat limit testing, like the Victor Akali matchup where he was just like dumping on Palafox and then got solo boloed. Like that one didn't matter. Like he dumped on him so hard, it was fine. But I am going to expect JoJo to make really dumb mistakes. And I am going to expect JoJo to have some moments where he missed positions. But I also expect JoJo to be one of the strongest mid laners in lane in the league. And I think that he's showing that this tournament and has not made a lot of bad mistakes around the laning phase, which is why I feel like he's been above and beyond my expectations at the moment. I did have very high expectations for JoJo. He's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not even playing his fucking champs. He's been playing Corki Victor.
My worries
he
aside,
was
JoJo
dumping
has
on
been doing
Akali
very
as
well.
Victor. Yeah. So
I am completely okay saying he's top 3. I just am worried.
I will say something.
Overhyped.
The EG staff last year always said that JoJo had, like, he could play literally anything, except we saw him usually more limited on the champs that he played, because in the spring, he was just playing to have contracts come to his lane. And then in the summer, he was playing to enable the rest of his team, right? I'm seeing some of that come to fruition with Corki Victor. Like, his Victor in lane was really good. And I know that Victor does piss on that matchup with Akali, but if you go back and watch, like, how he plays with his Qs and weaves in autos, like, in between, it's really good. So, yeah.
Yeah. He's sick.
Yeah.
There's 2 things we have to award Evil Geniuses so far on. Not only one, that they have some of the best performing players in their role so far in this lock-in tournament. They also have some of the best social media games in this tournament. Vulcan,
JoJo really
JoJo
leading into
Pyun.
the egotistical maniac thing.
Dude, I fucking love it, man. Like JoJo Pyun first is like, man, I'm hearing about this mid laner from Team Liquid, but like, who the fuck is this guy?
That was
they
so
beat
funny.
him and he doubles down. This is your go-to. Like, oh my god, that's top tier
Right,
branding
The
there.
Vulcan scheduling a tweet to publish mid game was hands down the best.
Oh,
That was hands down. That was
so funny.
that was really, really funny. Yeah. So.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The Live Evil on Twitter has been so good.
Dude, the Live Evil branding is so damn good so far.
They got to bring it back. Lean in harder, please. I'm here for it.
They got to do it. I mean, like when Double Lift is no longer an LCS, someone's got to pick up the trash talk, man. And so far, Evil Geniuses are leading the pack on
Also,
it.
I feel like Danny is starting this like anime arc, just like throwing like pictures of like Jinx up from Arcane. He's like, I'm gonna do this. It's just like crapping on everyone with Jinx. Like I got this. Yeah.
I really like it. I think we're entering another Svenskeren Twitter Live Evil era of Evil Geniuses.
That was
Twitter.
pretty good. Yeah, that was pretty good. I'm all here for that.
That was like the true renaissance of the phrase "Live Evil" was Svenskeren doing it. You got to respect the king, the OG. But we're getting back into that, and I love it.
Yeah. All right. Do we have anything?
I think that's everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Do we have anything to say about Tenacity? We only saw him once, and for me, that was a meets. I actually thought he had a good game. I think that like FlyQuest actually had a really, really good game. I thought FlyQuest played really well.
This was not 100 Thieves like severely underperforming. This was FlyQuest stepping up and being a different team today. And so I just don't. I think the only fault is just like 100 Thieves not being able to utilize his Tenacity's advantage, because he had a huge laning advantage with the Kennen counterpick, which is I mean, this is probably just a lack of game knowledge in my point, but I didn't realize Kennen was that good of a matchup into Gwen, apart from just being ranged and harassing. Or
this probably just you not remembering, but do you remember Jenkins last year when Gwen was really, really popular and he started picking Kennen instead of Gwen so he'd counter it?
Right, but I just figured that was because Jenkins is just really damn good at Kennen. I didn't think that was like
that too.
No, he just that was TL's meta. Like they didn't play Gwen, but they played every counter into Gwen, and Jenkins played it really well. Yeah.
Okay.
That is mostly it though. But
I just despise Gwen. I hate the fucking Power Shroud, man.
Yeah, when you can't 3-man mid against Corki, and then it's like you don't get first Herald because of Corki package, and please nerf Corki package, and keep on going from there. Actually, the Corki package
top lane, you should probably nerf it.
Please take out the slow of Corki package. It is literally stronger than Rumble ult. It is fucking absurd how like oppressive that is as an ability. Like, oh my god. I mean, we're seeing teams just pick Corki on blue and then not even rotate for Rift Herald because just get packaged at 8 and they just have to default. It's like, all right, it's gone. Like, we just lose it, right? It's trash. I absolutely hate that champion. Well, I love that champion to play in solo queue, but I hate it where it's at right now in the meta. Okay, we've covered half the Academy teams, the ones we've seen in Lock In, but I think it's time for our full Academy preview. So let's start it off with, I'd say, the defending champions of Academy in TLA.
That's not true.
They won Academy.
Thieves won.
They won Academy playoffs.
All right, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what? You're.
You got to remember. This is Team Liquid. When we got to Proving Grounds summer, this was not the full team with our Mayo and
and
Jenkins that won summer playoffs. Not to take anything away from 100 Thieves Academy and the roster they ran, that was a well-deserved win against the roster that Team Liquid fielded at the time. And like nothing should take that away from him because that was really good stuff.
True, yeah. But anyway, let's just start with Team Liquid since we already talked about two of their members. We've got two returning, and then of course Bradley top. The way I kind of want to phrase this is, where do you rank the team, like in terms of tier? Like, is it, you guys can divvy up the tiers however you want, or like your expectations. Sure. How do you expect them to play, and what are some things you're looking out of them to kind of push the envelope in that?
Yeah, I can start with this one. I have Team Liquid Academy in S tier. I think I've got 5 tiers: S, A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
They're an S. I think that it's pretty silly to not have them at least an A tier, with 4 of the returning members that like won so much last year.
I think you're trolling if you don't have them first.
I have them second, but we'll get to that in a sec. So I think very clearly the goal for this team is to make sure that Bradley is as comfortable as possible in this team. They already have a winning formula. They already know how to play with each other. They already have LCS quality players in most, if not all, of their roles, outside of Bradley because he hasn't played top yet. The main thing that they need to do is make sure that he is ready to play top lane at the same level or better than he played mid lane and adapt to the season 12 meta. And I think they're going to be very good at that. Armeo is very, very good at jungle. I don't know why people hate on this guy, even though he's been smurfing in Academy so long. And I don't know. My feelings about Armeo haters aside, this team should be very, very good. And once Bradley finds his stride, maybe right away, this team is going to be a shoo-in for the finals, maybe winning the whole thing.
Okay. Mark.
I have them as number 1 in my I pulled up the power rankings sheet that we had because I don't want to I don't want to go back on anything that I said and stand by a lot of things, even now that we've had like a little bit of time to see like people play out. So I had Team Liquid ranked as my number 1. I mean, you're only realistically swapping out Jenkins for Bradley. Yeah. And everyone else is the same. So this was a top 2 Academy team, both in Academy playoffs and improving rounds overall. So this should, without this is the smallest amount of changes on almost any Academy roster. So therefore, and because it's not even a downgrade going from Jenkins to Bradley. These players are just completely different. And I think Bradley can adapt to this Academy environment, and Team Liquid are going to be able to facilitate his strengths in the games that they deem necessary to have them play towards the top side of the map. Okay. So this is the number 1 team for me.
Okay. I also have them as number 1. I think that at the start of the season, if you don't have them as number 1, I think that you're kind of trolling. I think that the core 4 that they have, I would argue that Ayla, Armeo, and Harry are all top 3 at their position. I think that Jan is top half of his position. And so naturally, given that, obviously a lot of time and effort can be put into Bradley. I think that Bradley already has half the champion pool that you need as a top laner, given the fact that he is extremely proficient at Gwen, Akali, Sylas, I know that he can play Ornn like most people can. Hopefully, he will have to pick up like some skills on how to position as a tank. But he pretty much only has to pick up some of the bruisers, like Camille, which I know that he already played Camille. Like this guy, he had the weirdest champion pool mid, and I've scrimmed against this guy a little bit too, so I have some like biases to that. He's gonna be okay top. That's pretty much all I can say. Like he should be fine. This guy played a lot of different champions and played them well.
A lot of the champions that he played mid lane, you can already play top lane.
Exactly,
so so you just have to get used to the different wave timers in top lane versus mid lane, and just understand where like certain positions or wave positions are. Because mid lane you get a little bit more freedom. Top lane it's a bit more punishing if your wave is pushed up and it's frozen on you.
Now, I the only thing that could worry me about TL is that I think it's mage meta again, and I think that Harry, I really liked Harry in the melee mid meta plus the Blanc. I think that was a really good meta for Harry.
His Lee Sin was actually fucking sick.
It was he was good. And so I think that shifting back to mage meta, but they were still dominant in spring. I think that the one way that TL might be able to push themselves outside of the envelope, I think a lot of people are forgetting about Yon. This is his second year in Academy, and still is someone that is young and can be developed and is promising. So I want to see if Yon and Ayla can kind of cement themselves in the 2v2, and I want to see if they're going to be able to play through more strategies around Armeo. I feel like Armeo is really, really good at his playstyle, and it catches a lot of Academy teams off guard. I want to see if they can kind of extend around that and do other things and kind of like almost be a pseudo LCS team, because last year they were. So if they can get back to that, like they can. So that's kind of my diagnosis NTL. Big fan of what they got going on. I picked the first team. What do you guys want to pick next? Just teams we haven't talked about yet.
We haven't talked about 100 Thieves yet, and you baited me with the other comment before.
All right,
let's go into them.
Let's do 100 Thieves next. Rafa, what do you got for us?
I have... Where did I put them? I put 100 Thieves as my third best team overall. I know there's a lot of...
Sorry to cut you off. Before you actually get anything, we got a question in the chat about are the power rankings based on team power right now or at the end of PG? The reason that it sounded like that is because Team Liquid are the best team right now, and they probably will be at Proving Grounds as well. So that's probably it. But
we will adapt.
The power rankings are generally for the entire split.
I actually made mine for the conclusion of spring, not for PG. Like for where the standings will be at the end of spring regular season.
Yeah.
So
it's easier to
that's
come by.
That's my parameter. Yeah.
Next. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry to cut you off, Rob.
No, you're good. I think it's good to establish that. 100 Thieves, I put them as my third, and I think I'm on one of the lower ends of that spectrum because everyone else put them as like second or even first. I think 100 Thieves is still has important players like Kenvi. And then everyone else is changing. We have Busio, who technically already was promoted to Academy, but he didn't get any play time because they were still using Poom along with Luger. Wixie is now on this roster, which is exciting. They're also using Jamin and Gamsu. So a lot of promotions, not only within their own 100 Thieves next class of Gamsu and Busio from 2021, but also picking up Wixie, who was one of the outstanding members from Cloud9 Amateur, as well as, picking up Jamin from the PCS region. Am I trolling up? Okay.
No,
so, I mean, I'm always going to favor 100 Thieves as a top 3 team despite all these changes, because Kenvi for me is one of the best, if not the best jungler in this league. Kenvi is so goddamn good, and
surprised you stopped at jungler, not just one of the best players in the league. Yeah.
I mean, we can go that far as well. I mean, like
I will.
but Yeah, I mean, Kenvi is one of the best just in academy, and he's LCS ready. He's been LCS ready since the end of summer, but as you know, he and Papa Smithy discussed, there wasn't any offers that satisfied Kenvi. He did not want to be on a bottom 5 LCS team. He'd rather wait for a top 5 LCS team to pick him up. So,
well, I mean, honestly, after the 100 Thieves Academy roster spanked most of them in scrims last year, can you blame them? Probably not. So, yeah. I have this team as second. I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised at Jimian, or how'd you say it, Rafa? Your pronunciation's correct.
Jamin?
Yeah, Jamin. I believe that is the pronunciation. I think a lot of NA fans are going to be surprised at how good this player is. He was second in the MVP race against Doggo, who someone will be very familiar, or fans should be familiar with, given the World's performance that Doggo had. Yep. I think that between him and Kenvi and Busio, once he gets in, I think that that's how 100 Thieves Academy will win games. It is murder the mid lane like 3v3, right? With those two pieces playing around mid. And Wixie and Gamsu as the pieces around that make a lot of sense.
Yep.
So that's how I expect the team to play. Where I want to see them kind of push the envelope is I really want to see how far they take Busio being an ex-mid laner. Like, they were playing a bunch of Senna comps with Instinct for 100x last year, and this guy has way better hands than everyone else at his role at support. There are very few sports that can keep up with Busio in lane. So I really want to see how far they push him, because this guy's rel is nasty. He plays set like it's no one's business. He was playing Mundo with the Senna combos like very early on once they first reworked Mundo.
Really good into Aphelios Thresh.
Yeah, he even played Zig Senna. They helped test that, like what FBI and Hui did on stage. So I really want to see like how far they end up pushing Busio's mechanics in terms of strategies. And then I also want to see how Wixie grows. Because I feel like Wixie, this is his first year in Academy, his second year in the system. Him and Breezy, I felt like Breezy was always really underrated in that lane. And so I feel like the two of them were a good 2v2. One of the few that could stand up to Arrow and Daption, which was a big deal for Amateur in the summer of last year. But I think that I want to see how Wixie grows in lane. I feel like on a lot of the ways that he was able to kind of do well in lane is that he would take picks like Ashe and play them really well, or Varus, like very lane-dominant things. He's known for his Draven. But I'm actually really curious to see how he does in this meta, because I feel like this meta, it's actually really important that your AD is good at trading and understands how to trade with all the lethal tempo champs we have at the moment. And I really want to see if Wixie like kind of steps up to the plate and does that, because I think that if he does, this team ends up being top 2 like right off the bat, unlike where I expect them to be at the end of the year, which is like top of the table or top 2, right? So yeah.
Yeah. I got them first. I think they're the best Academy team. Now maybe not at the start, but by the end, I think that definitely will be the case. You guys talked a lot about the other players. I'm gonna talk about Gamsu. Gamsu is so good. I think he was the most underrated piece of the 100 Thieves Academy win for Proving Grounds summer. He played a lot. Like, if you watched him grow all throughout that split that he played as well, you'd see just how steady and how huge his improvement was from the very beginning. Really, really big deal. I, just watching that, have a lot of faith in this player to keep improving further with this team and show a lot of good looks as well, specifically on the tanks. I think everyone agrees this guy has one of the best tank players. He's one of the best tank players, in Academy right off the bat. If he can do more than that as well, that'd be pretty sick. I think Gamsu is really good, and he, I think, will open up a lot of opportunities for a player like Wixie to start to pop off and play these lethal tempo, like late game carries as well. I do believe in Busio a lot as well, like you, Cubby. And yeah, Kenvi, I think I put him as the best jungler in the league.
I have him as my best player in the league.
He is. I have him number 2 best player in the league to Ryoma, but we already talked about him a bit. But yeah, that's my pitch. I think they're first. and I believe in Big Boy Golden Glue as well. He did a really good job last year, and
I think that's a fair take.
I think those are the only two coaches that are in the same spot, by the way.
That might be true, yeah, because we'll look at the list later, but
yeah,
I think rolling it in my head, I think you're right.
Yeah, just
Spawn and Golden Glue. Sorry, I'll stop.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm counting up.
You're just to tie a bow on this 100 Thieves squad. I know out of the three of us, I have them as like ranked the quote unquote lowest, and I think I'm just giving the most respect to variance with bringing in new players and trying to get them up to speed. I'm not doubting 100 Thieves' ability to get them to mesh, and I would not be surprised to see them actually as the number one academy team. I think they have that potential. I'm just between the three best teams, this is the most amount of new variables in the roster that they're putting together, and so naturally you're just going to get more variance over other teams. But I think there is much value in the fact that Gamsu and Chad, when they were brought on to the 100 Thieves next class, they rapidly improved in an insanely short amount of time. They helped turn that squad from like not even a top 12 team that could make it into the first Proving Grounds tournament, or not even the tier ones, let alone the Proving Grounds tournament, to them being a top 3 amateur team. Like, that's pretty fucking good. And Gamsu and Chad were coming in to fill in Kenvi and Tenacity's shoes and helping 100 Thieves Academy win the Proving Grounds tournament. Absolutely huge. So, this team is definitely a top 3, and I would not be surprised to see him as top 1, despite my 3rd place ranking. Moving on, I think it makes sense based on the average ranking of this team. The next one is
EG.
Cloud9.
Oh, C9.
No, Cloud9.
Okay. I'll kick off C9 since we're kind of doing the round table.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have C9 rated the lowest out of.
I've got them in the same spot as you.
Okay. I don't have the sheet up at the moment, but I believe I had them at 6th. Or
no,
we both have them 5.
Both of
5.
You
okay.
had them at
Okay,
5.
my bad. 5.
Yeah.
I have C9 being a mid-tier team. That's gonna sound kind of weird. Here's why. First off, I kind of want to put a clause into the C9 thing. Obviously, C9 had an announcement video that was terrible.
The King clause.
Yes. The powered by Microsoft announcement video was terrible. The approach that C9 is taking to how they use their academy team is not. If they did a standalone video, explained that, said, you know what, our goal is to win worlds. We're going to use our academy team to push our main roster as much as we can. We don't care as much about academy wins. We care about making sure that we go to worlds and do that. That's cool. C9 is a huge organization. They are one of the 5 orgs that are realistically in NA competing to go to worlds every year, right? That's okay. If that's how they're going to use their academy team, that's cool. I want to see how that works. You bring in LS to do his thing. If that's what he wants to do with the team, that's great. The announcement video for that was terrible. The one thing that will hurt them, and why I have them at 5, is that King is not getting as much practice time according to that video, and he is the one that's going to be playing on stage because they can only use 1 import since they have 2 in the LCS team, and that import will be used on Malice, and therefore Sven will not be competing. So when you're starting at 80, and King is very good. Now, if you asked me this time a year ago who the best player in Academy was, I would have said King. Like, King is good, right? But him not practicing and not, like, practicing with Isles just feels and seems weird to me. So that kind of, I really don't know how that's going to go. Like, this team is kind of going to be a surprise. What they do have going for them, I think Darshan is the strongest in his role. I think Isles is top 3 in his role. And I think that Copy and Malice can figure it out. And this is a meta that I am curious to see Copy do well in, because Copy, I think, really made a name for himself on enablers and playing melee picks mid and really getting around the map. That seems to fit well with what Malice likes to do, given the reputation that Malice has for playing a lot of these magic damage junglers. Copy is amazing at set, Renekton, and Lucian, that kind of stuff, right? I don't know how that's going to gel in this meta, and I'm really curious to see the approach that C9A has. So this team is a huge question mark. I am really curious to see. I think a great storyline for NA this year is LS coaching and seeing everything that he talks about and pitches kind of come to life and seeing if that works or not on the biggest stage. But so, I mean, this team's a question mark for me. I put him middle of the pack because I really believe in Darshan. If they took top 2, I would not be surprised. If they took bottom 4, I also wouldn't be that surprised. I'd be more surprised about the bottom 4 than the top 2. But it's really tough for me to rank this team. That's my honest diagnosis on them. And I think the biggest thing for them this year is we're going to see how much better Copy gets.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I agree with everything you said there. I'm going to tack on just a little bit. Conceptually, in my mind, I feel like Malice is at best a side grade to Surenfire. I feel like their playstyles were really similar. It's just that Malice is he's achieved influencer status, so people know of his thing more. Surenfire was doing very similar shit in all of last year. So, I mean, I'm just confused.
It is Academy, and if that staff believes that having Malice compete, because they said that he was going to be involved as a player or a coach, right? So if they believe that him competing on the Rift is the best way to get the most out of Malice and the people around him, I'm okay with that. This is a new staff. If LS, if you're going to hire LS, I don't want you to hire LS and be like, no, I don't want to do what you want to do, right? We should keep that guy, right? I feel like you just got to let him do his thing. And if it works, it works. If not, it doesn't. And I think it's a really interesting storyline to follow this year for every level of competition.
Yeah. If you're bringing on a head coach, you should buy in 100% what the coach wants to do so that you don't have any regrets. You don't have any in Smash we call it Johns, right? Excuses for if it doesn't work out, right? Because if you don't give them full 100% power, then they can always say, well, you didn't give me 100% control of what I wanted, and therefore I couldn't really do what I want, and so therefore you don't get any progress, right? But if Cloud9 100% on this, and if it works, cool. If it doesn't work, okay, well then they can rebuild next year and say, okay, 100% on this does not work. We had a full year. So and from the history of Malice does know LS. He was the only ever Western import into the LCK on the BBQ Oliver's squad. In fact, I don't even know if it was LCK or for LCK Challengers.
It was Challengers, and also RJS was on that team.
Oh yeah, RJS and Malice. So there's a history. LS believes in this player, and Malice plays jungle the way that LS believes jungle should be played. So if you have a player that buys into your philosophy, then fucking run it. And because then you don't have any obstacles in trying to figure out problems when they arise throughout the year and addressing them moving forward. So I think if when Malice is on a team that supports the philosophy of how LS sees the game, and it really plays into how Malice wants to play the game, then Malice can be enabled to be a very dominant jungler in Academy games if everything works out. Because Malice plays Karthus, Evelyn, Fiddlesticks, a lot of powerhouse scaling AP junglers that just really warp the game as going into the mid game
when they get cold. When they get cold.
Yeah. I believe that LS believes in Malice. I just don't believe in Malice.
Sure.
So you're not a subscriber to the church then? You're going against the church.
I think the church is entertaining. I just don't think it's correct. But that's the fun of this entire year for Cloud9.
I choose to believe some commandments and not others. We'll put it that way.
Sure. Yeah. We'll get to see it. That's my favorite part about LCS. Unironically, apart from CLG, is that we're gonna get to see LS's testing ground.
Has anyone? I feel like someone needs to track Renekton picks for C9 across both levels throughout the entire year. I feel like this has to be done. This is I am not doing this. I'm giving this to the community. If you want to get Twitter clout, just track Renekton picks and do it's been this many days since C9 picked Renekton, right?
That's so funny.
Yes. I feel like
you brought up,
this must be done.
since you brought up LS and Renekton, I do have to point out my favorite thing about LS and Renekton, which is that he's notorious for putting Renekton in like F tier, bottom tier, whatever. For Worlds 2021, he put Renekton in C tier. And I think that's really fucking funny because Renekton was completely unpickable because they made his stun a half second less. But he's like, no, I was just joshing, guys. Renekton's fine.
Honestly, as someone that, like, just Renekton's not a part of the, the champion pool of league, that doesn't, a little bit less data there. Anyway.
That was my favorite LS Renekton thing. I feel like nobody paid attention to that, but it was very funny to me.
All right, moving on. Rafa, you picked the teams. Max, you start.
Evil Geniuses is the next one.
Go Sam.
Okay. I might be the wrong person to start on this. I have Evil Geniuses at 8th.
Nasser and KOC are going to roast.
No. It's a fucking Live Evil take.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my Evil Geniuses take is a bit harsh compared to
how many games have you seen of Kaori?
Maybe 10. Not a lot.
10 is more than most of the public.
Well, yeah, I did a little bit of research.
Okay.
But
just want to make sure.
Yeah. So I acknowledge that this guy is coming from the same place that Luger came from, and I think Luger's really good. I do acknowledge this. I just think that the Evil Geniuses Academy hype was very, very much based on what this team looked like when they had contracts. And I think that people are still kind of riding that high. I do acknowledge that Tomio was doing quite well individually. I just don't think the team worked as well with him in as they did with contracts. That's not a really hot take, but I think it was a little bit lower than other people probably thought. I don't think SkyTech is very good. That's probably the most negative thing that you could possibly get out of my mouth about a player on a stream. But I'm not expecting very big things from him in his first split in Academy. I do think very highly of Soligo, and this is again going to be pretty negative. The reason that I have them at 8 and not lower is because I think Soligo is really good. And yeah, I don't think that this team is going to click very well with the top side outside of Soligo, and I think that they will win games by Soligo carrying.
Let me jump in, Cubby, because
we're going to the
highest ranked out of the 3.
Yeah.
So okay, I have them ranked at 7th, so not as harsh as Smacks, but still
pretty low too.
Bottom 4 team. I think SkyTech is going to be the weakest support this split. I think when you look at the Evil Geniuses Prodigies roster and you have Daption there instead of an Academy, I think SkyTech and
it's a bit questionable. I agree.
Yeah, I think Daption and SkyTech should switch places. That's my take. I will trust the Evil Geniuses staff. So, to be fair, I think I don't know if the decision was that they genuinely believe that SkyTech is a better support than Daption to play it right now in the Academy, or if it's because, well, SkyTech was in Prodigies first. So, and I don't think it's that. I genuinely think their answer was, we think that SkyTech is better than Daption. Like, they are going to want to play their strongest support. Right. Looking at the rest of the roster, I don't know anything about Kaori. I haven't seen any of these games, so like if I go back and watch and Kaori starts popping off like Luger, then sure.
I feel like the Luger comparison is not. I don't think it's fair to Kaori, but
it's just the framework that we've seen.
Yeah, I feel really like Kaori is good, but framing it as this guy's good, like, because the moment that Luger played in the Academy, for me it was like, holy shit, this guy is the best AD and one of the best players in this league, right?
Sure.
Yep.
I don't expect that from Kaori. I do expect Kaori to be good.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about Kaori. I don't have any expectations. I still think that bringing in Kaori and then pairing him with Skytech instead of Daption, or there's like 3 other academy supports that I could have pointed at that they should have picked at.
That is fair. But I think this is a good moment to just remind, like, the academy clause is we're not going to take every best player available. We're going to take the players that we feel like are going to be best after we work with them for X amount of time, right?
Sure.
So,
okay. So,
I think this team is going to be a lot better than 8th in the summer for what it's worth.
Yeah. I think this team has a lot of room to grow. And I want to finish because it feels like right now I'm just bagging a lot on Skytech. And, that especially if he's watching, this is going to suck. It just, like we're not trying to hurt feelings. This is just like, I think they're supports that performed individually better. Looking at the rest of the roster, Tomio and Soligo are the best points of this roster, 100%. Soligo was on a worse team and was one of the brightest spots of Dignitas Academy.
He's very, very, very
last year. And I think it was a crime that Soligo was not playing an LCS over Yusui. I still hold that to this day, but you know what? It happened what it is. I think it's a huge dub that Evil Geniuses got Soligo back. Soligo's definitely a top 3 mid in Academy. I also think that Tomio is one of the best junglers you can have in Academy. And I think he is probably the best developmental piece to have. He is someone that can be a dominant jungler by the end of 2022. I know I've had my fair ifs about Surdy, but him replacing Tony Top is not a downgrade. I think it's a side grade because Surdy has different strengths than Tony. No, you think?
I got this team 3rd. So.
Oh, you think? Okay. I'm personally, I've always fallen in this viewpoint of seeing Surdy suffering from main character syndrome, where it's like, if I'm not the main carry, then this team goes to shit. But I think I've been as well. I've been, I'm willing to say that I've been unfair in my view in the games that I've watched Surdy, and when those games have happened, they have not painted him in the best light. So I'm willing to allow Surdy to have a new year to really show that he is a versatile carry top laner that can selflessly give up resources for the better of the team.
Let's give Surdy the Jojo Pyun treatment, right? We're going to discount some of the games that are really, really terrible. And we're going to look at some of the high highs that this player can hit, right?
Sure.
I don't think there are other players in Academy, on this hand, I cannot name 5 other players in Academy that can dumpster a lane like what we've seen Surdy do. This guy plays like a freaking maniac, right? And that's okay.
Really, really good I've seen him take over games on Jace. Well, okay, I phrased that wrong. Take over lanes on Jace. Outside of lane, I'm pretty concerned. But you're right. His laning is really, really good. When it hits.
And the reason that I say this is we are going into the season, right? And this is EG's staff, which historically has done really well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the highs that this guy can hit, and I mean obviously the lows were piss ugly, right? But I'm willing to look past some of those moments for what this player can do. And if anyone's gonna get it out of him, that this is one of the few orgs that I'd say I'm pretty confident they can get the most out of Surdy. And let's look at what's around him, right? We've got Soligo, probably one of the best mid laners when it comes to enabling other peoples across the map, right? If you want a mid laner in Academy that you know what you're going to get out of them and they can enable others, it is Ryoma or it is Soligo, right? He is a great enabler. Now you're pairing this up with the Surdy Tomio topside, which keep in mind, they top 6'd in Proving Grounds in spring. Yes, they did have Danny. I completely understand that, right? But these guys were still good players, right? They were not getting like piss gapped by these academy players. Like not every game, right? And then you throw in Kaori and SkyTech. Now, obviously, I think that SkyTech has work to do, but let's look at the high points of SkyTech. Can you name another support in the league besides like the ones on 100 Thieves, because they only take mid laners, that have hit Grandmaster or Challenger playing another role? This guy has. Like, this guy was playing Rakan mid, AP Rakan mid. He played this shit to like high Grandmaster, like almost Challenger, right?
Okay.
He has hands. Yes.
That's pretty sick.
This guy has hands, right?
Fault on my part.
And so, like, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I think SkyTech is not this, like, he was not the strongest support in amateur last year, right? Like, that's, I mean, you saying, he would probably agree with that too, right? But, like, let's look at, hey, what can EG get out of some of these guys, right? I think that they have a team that you can get some good moments out of these guys. And Kaori, yes, he's new to NA, but he's played quite a few years. I think that like a staff like this will be new to him, so that's great. Soligo we know what we're going to get out of Soligo. Obviously, I feel like everyone can still get better, but I agree with you in that Soligo, why was this guy even playing an academy in the first place? I think that this team can be 3 in spring, and I think that the way they do it is just fucking Surdy Kingdom, baby. Like, help Surdy run everyone, and I feel like Surdy can do this against every top except for maybe... I think Darshan, like Viper, Bradley, and there's one of the top I'm missing. Gamsu. Those will be the tops and the teams that he might have trouble like breaking, but I feel like EG can break a lot of teams' bot. And when you look at Kaori too, you have a enabling mid laner with 2 good sides. I feel like this team's build actually makes some sense to me, which I don't care as much about in academy because like you want to develop and get better, but I can see it, right? And some of these other teams, like, I can't see it. So I am buying into EG, and I think that you guys have them pretty low, and I hope this team plays like crackheads because I know that Surdy and Tomio, that is like where they thrive. I am here for it, and I know that these guys can hit some really high moments. So I want to see if they can like kind of rinse and repeat and get like what was a top 6 PG performance in spring of last year. That was insane from EGP. So I want to see if like Surdy Tomio can step up again, you know?
First of all, you're also forgetting about Dokla. I think he'll have a pretty tough time against Dokla as well.
I really like the EG mid jungle duo though in CLG, so I think that helps a lot. But yeah,
I think it is okay if Evil Geniuses, like with the framework you're setting, I think it's completely realistic that they will not still be a top 3 team by the end of spring.
Yep. Okay,
but I think this is something that they can definitely achieve by the end of the year. By the end of summer split, I think this is the developing pieces, and if they can like unlock everyone's full potential and you get a full split in, you get a Proving Grounds tournament in, I think this is definitely a top 4 team for Academy by the end of 2022.
Okay.
So
you know what? I'll also say something. I think that the fastest game time of the split will probably be EGA winning against Dignitas Academy. I think that will probably be the fastest game of the split.
I feel like EGA
like 21 minutes.
I feel like EGA knowing Surdy Tomio will just have the fastest game time. Period. Like
probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I feel like they're just gonna have the fastest game time.
But yeah, that's my future call for the end of the split. We'll have to see if I'm right.
So I'm here is like in the sense that like I believe in the upside of like the guys that they have, and they obviously do too because they kept them, right? And EG, that's paid off for them at the first class. I'm not saying that Surdy Tomio or the next JoJo or Danny, but I do believe these players can be LCS players one day, and EG's gonna help them get there. So yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of skip our next team because actually we can kind of skip the next 2 teams because on the overall average rank it's TSM and Golden Guardians.
Okay,
we've already
wanted to say we have them slotted.
Yeah, sure. Cubby and I already teased the TSM one. I've got them really high at 4.
I have TSM at 9th. For the record, after I've seen them in Lock In, I would probably move them up a little bit.
Yeah.
I still think they're going to be
them-
bottom 4 for spring, but
I have them at 5th, and I think it's completely fair to have them as a 5th or 6th place team. With this,
so we are very different on TSM.
I'm aiming. I fully acknowledge I'm aiming more at what I think their peak is going to be for the end of the split. I do see the upside of how this team is going to get there, and I think they're going to.
I really think their mid jungle will struggle with the other mid jungles in Academy, and that's why I'm worried for spring.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move to Golden Guardians. I've got them at 3rd, actually.
I don't know where I have Golden Guardians.
You have them at 7th.
7. So pretty big gap there. And then Rafa's got them at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we already talked about Golden Guardians a bit.
They are underperforming to our expectations at the moment. Frankly, Cubby said they're underperforming. I think they're kind of performing to what you would have expected them to.
It's the eye check isn't good. So yeah.
Yeah.
But they have good pieces. They can turn it around. They have a lot of experience. So yeah.
If last year's any indication, Golden Guardians Academy is not to be counted out by the end of the season. So
is it? Well, hang on. Here's the transition. Is it Golden Guardians Academy or is it the Prismal team?
You have to also take into account
or the Niles team because Maryville's here too.
You also have to take into account a lot of the coaching staff from Golden Guardians Academy has been moved to the CLG coaching staff.
A lot of the staff, period, right? Because it's Jonathan there. And also Rosie. I don't want to forget Rose Thorn too. Out of that. But I think CLG is a good team to cover next. Am I the one? Is it my turn to kick things off?
Yep.
I think so.
I think I have CLG ranked the highest out of everyone, especially compared to the community. I believe I had them in its 4th.
Yep.
Okay. Here's my clause on CLG.
You had them higher than Kangas did, and he's a CLG stan.
So I will say I did talk with some CLG staff about their offseason. I love CLG's LCS build. Their Academy build, for me, looks like it is the approach of where this is the team that is, we have 5 people that we feel like if anything goes haywire in LCS, we can cover that spot and put people in, right?
Yep, for sure.
And so I think they are the most experienced Academy team. It's close. Them and GGA.
Or I guess now with Bradley, it's not Team Liquid anymore.
And Yon, yeah.
Otherwise, it would definitely be them.
Yeah, it's close. But this is a team that I expect to perform well in Academy because they have all been here before. I think that Dokla is a good top laner. I think that Triple can be a nice complement to that. I think Prismal is still probably the strongest AD that we have in the pool. We'll have to see if Kaori or Arrow can challenge him this year.
Yeah.
And I thought Breezy was criminally slept on for the entire amateur split with Wixie, and is a really good main engager, which is something that between him and Rosethorn, who is definitely a ganking jungler that can enable carries, and I think fits the top lane pool of Dokla really well. I can see how this team was put together. I think that they're going to perform well. I don't see who they're developing. That's my knock on CLG. Is that who are you looking at as a coach on this roster to be like, I think this guy is an incredibly high ceiling player that can make a difference in my LCS org for years to come, and make me, as someone that is a bottom 5 team in org, make me competitive with a top 5 team in org with way less money in my budget, right?
I mean, the youngest player you look at is Rosethorn,
right?
Right.
So I feel like that's the one where it's like, all right, we're kind of still developing Rosethorn and working on that, but I think that Kenvi and Tomio, who are of similar experience, are stronger prospects than Rosethorn. And I think even someone like Yuji is going to surprise a lot of people in this split.
I think Rosethorn has his work cut out, not only for playing against full year Academy junglers that are super experienced like Kenvi and Tomio, but now he's also playing against new people like Chad, Exu, and Yuji, who are going to have the potential to beat Rosethorn.
I feel like top to bottom, I still think that jungle is the strongest role in the Academy. Maybe mid, but
I was thinking mid as well.
I think mid is more top heavy and jungle is more balanced across the board, in my opinion. But
Could be. Yeah.
I think that a lot of fans are just like shitting on CLG because it's like, oh, it's CLG, like, right? We're dumping on him, right?
Yeah.
I think the CLG is like, this should be, I really don't like to use this, but this should be the benchmark team, right? I feel like if you can beat CLG, you're a top team in Academy. If you can't, you will be below them in the standings, and I have them at 4th. I think that they're a really solid team. And I hope that Rosethorn keeps on improving. I thought that he got a lot better throughout the last year. I think this team makes sense with how it was built. But I don't see that super high ceiling, like, oh my God, this guy has insane hands, so they teach him how to play the game. He's nuts. I feel like everyone here has a good idea of how to play the game, and I'm curious to see how they get better. But in the dev tier list I made, I had them ranked lowest.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
which makes sense for the LCS build, but yeah.
Yeah. Before I talk about how good I think this team is, I do want to mention something you mentioned, like which of these players is going to be like a franchise player for us.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the deep take. You ready? Luger's going to get bought out by some other like higher paying team by the end of the year, and then Prismal is going to become that.
I feel bad because I do feel like Prismal is like it's like another year for Prismal where it just feels like he's like, hey, like we think this guy could get picked up by LCS and he's just not, right? And now he's in a position where I don't think that he replaces Luger, like, right? I feel like that's
right.
I feel like that's tough. So we'll see, but
yeah, I think at this point, Prismal's best chance is like there's a few LCS 80 carries who have been there or are there like for a really long time now, and like I mean, there's the argument that like no, these 80 carries can still play, like yeah, and they have a lot of years on them, so they're experienced, but like if they're not performing as a top 5 80 carry, it might be worth giving Prismal a chance to, like, while he's experienced, he like there's room for him to grow, and he's like has shown that he can be an LCS caliber 80 carries. Yeah. Just the slot is not opening up for him. That being said, I'm gonna use this to transition into Immortals, because I think for CLG and Immortals have a lot of similar pieces where, like, if their main LCS pieces do not work out, their academy pieces I think are on a similar level with that current LCS squad, that not only they can have like good in-house scrims to like kind of how we talked about Cloud9 having a 10-man roster where there's going to be a lot of in-house scrims, and you want your academy team mainly used to beefing up and strengthen the strategies that your LCS team will be using. Because if you look at, like you said, Cubby, if anyone on the main LCS CLG team does not perform, it's not a downgrade to then send in like Rosethorn over Contracts. It's not a downgrade to send Dokla over Jenkins. It's not a downgrade to send in Triple over Palafox.
It is, but it's not like huge.
It's
not
right?
Like
if it wasn't,
like
then they would have,
right?
Yeah, it's not huge.
Yeah. So like not technically a downgrade, but it's not like a huge downgrade. It's not going to be a detriment to why they're losing. And now moving into Immortals, the next like average ranked team. This is Concept, Chad, Pretty, Arrow, and Joey. And
I don't remember where I put them in my list.
I will tell you. You have them ranked at 6. Ooh. I also have them ranked at 6. Smacks has them at 7th. So this, pretty average on where we would This is, I think the person that had them the highest ranked was Kangas. He put them at 2nd. My man.
Fun of him for that.
That's aggressive.
Yeah.
All right, Sam.
In fact, I think the 2nd place is the only thing that like kind of influenced the Immortals ranking.
I didn't get to talk about CLG that much.
Oh yeah. What do you want?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I agree with Cubby that this bottom lane is going to be really good.
They already play together in 100 Thieves.
Yep. Yep, exactly. I like you said, Cubby. I just if it feels like the bottom lane talent is being moved up and just like passing Prismal by, and I don't really understand why, because it's the role that has the most domestic players in LCS, right? There are 7 of them. Maybe it's fewer now that Luger and Hansam are in. I think they might have brought it down to 6. But either way, I feel really bad because I think Prismal definitely deserves a look right there. I think he definitely should have been moved up on the Golden Guardians side in the summer of last year with Chime.
Yes.
And I don't
Yes.
really understand why they didn't. But
I agree with that. Yeah.
it's 2022 now, and like you said, I think it'd be hard pressed to replace Luger. But yeah, I think Prismal's just going to keep smurfing it in Academy, and he and Breezy are going to prove to be at a similar power level to what Prismal and Chime were. And if you're watching those games, those guys were like the second best bot lane in the whole league.
I mean, this is a benchmark team, no? Like,
yeah,
it's the most experienced team, and everyone is like solid in their role. Like,
right.
I have no one
really
as being like this guy's bad,
anyone.
right? Yeah.
It's not going to change the perception of any one of these 5 players, which kind of sucks because it's not going to get them more or less likely to be promoted. I feel like, it's kind of just feels like the solo of teams, you know. Like you put that guy on your team if you are in a really bad spot in your top lane and you just want a guy who's LCS level. That's kind of how I feel about this team. No offense to Solo, like he's great. I think he could still be playing in LCS if
he was criminally underrated at
exactly
2020 for FlyQuest.
But anyway, that's my little rant that I wanted to have about CLG. Let's move on to Immortals fully now. So obviously, I'm super hyped about Chad. We've talked to him on the Proving Grounds pod. He won Proving Grounds, and I've been hyping him up for a very long time. Really glad that he's getting the look. I think this team is going to be a really good test for him to like show how good he actually is and how he can push that, because taking a full split of Academy is pretty different from an entire split of what he had on 100 Thieves next, where they were in like a very tumultuous state, a lot of things changing all the time. They had their support move up. They got like moved up to the Academy squad as well for Proving Grounds. Like that was just a very shaky spot. I think him being on a very stable like Academy team for a split is going to be really big. And I say that they're stable because I think this bot lane on Immortals is also really solid. Arrow and Joey are going to be competitors for the top spot as well for the bottom lanes. And yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty solid team. I've got them are in the same tier as CLG. I think I said that I had like S, A, B, C, and D. I've got them both at like the lower end of B tier. Like in the middle of that. I think they could push higher, but they're definitely not going lower. Is basically how I feel about that.
Immortals is an interesting team because when I look at this in the framework of like playing to Chad and thinking of like, okay, in the 3 teams or in the 2 other teams that Chad played with, the iteration of Gamsu, Chad, Young, Instinct, Busio that placed 3rd, took a game off of wildcard during the EGL summer tier 2 tournament. I guess Gweiss came in halfway through that tournament, but I think like that the peak 100 Thieves next form was those 5 players.
Oh yeah.
And then you look at the other Chad roster, which was Gamsu, Chad, and then Ryoma, Luger, Poom for 100 Thieves Academy. And I think this Immortals squad is, I would argue, similar power level of the 100 Thieves next, if not slightly better. I don't think it's as good as the 100 Thieves Academy roster, But the fact that Chad excelled and looked really damn good with the 100 Thieves next squad, I think Chad can still like flourish and be a strong jungler with this squad. Concept, I think, is the biggest question mark for me because I don't know what kind of player we're going to get with but he is an exciting development piece. I don't know if this is going to be put him on carry tops and play towards top side, or if we're going to see him on tank duty and support Arrow and play towards Arrow and making front to back team fighting compositions.
So, I mean, this roster to me is just like in terms of builds, it's the inverse of 100 Thieves, right? We have a top lane we're developing and a bot lane that's stable instead of the inverse, right?
Yeah.
Which is, Gamsu, Kenvi, and developing bot lane. I think Chad is a good dev piece to have in your system. I feel like any team that picked up Chad, that's like I feel like I would have been like, yeah, that's a good move, right? And the fact this guy went from solo queue to winning proving grounds, so beating academy teams is more intense than the path that NXI took. And the way that he did it too was like he went from playing like, all right, I'm just gonna play Lee Sin, Diana, to like, all right, I can play this Trundle really well, or I'm carrying games on Jarvan, or like really
Diego,
also
Braves.
diversifies like how he was able to do well in games, right? Concept, I think, is going to have a tough time in top. I feel like top is going to be a role where it is going to be very clear who the top laners that have experience are and the ones that don't.
Yep.
And I feel like the top laner that closes that gap the fastest is the one that's going to end up looking good.
It'll be Bradley.
That's our guess. The thing that concerns me about Concept is that his champ pool is really weird. In the sense that it's like Singed Durgot mostly in solo queue and Mundo. I've seen him play all those on stage and do very well on those champions. I think his Camille, like he can play a pretty decent Camille. I am nervous though against like, if it's a if he plays tanks, like can he match Darshan in the tank matchup? And then like, what's he do against someone like Viper, right? Like if you play a tank into that, like you could get really abused. Also, I feel like Joey to me is someone that's like good to have in a team environment. I'll probably say a similar thing about JJ. But I think that like at this point, like that is stability in the bot lane. And I've seen a lot like of Joey, and it's like there are few games or champs that like I see from Joey where I'm like, wow, this guy really sticks out from like the rest of the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know like what him and Arrow are going to be able to do in the bot lane. It's mage meta for pretty, which is sick. That's usually pretty good. But
his Oriana's was some of the best stuff that we
his control mage play is really good. But I'm not. I have pretty in like a mid for me. I think that a lot of people actually have him in like higher than where I have him. I value
he's
flexibility
ranked 6 across the board.
Okay,
I
feel like that's pretty appropriate. I don't know what this IMTA team's gonna be like. I'm really curious to see how they end up playing. And I this is the team that I feel like coming into the season I actually have the most questions about in terms of like how they're gonna play. And like because we've seen data from like half the teams, and then the other half we haven't seen data on are some of the better LCS team or academy teams that have kept members. So I think this is the team that I actually like. I really don't know what them and Dig are gonna look like.
Yeah.
I have a good feeling about like where I have Dig. Or it's not a great feeling, but I'm confident that I think that Dig will be a weaker team. Yeah, Dig's gonna be a weaker team. I feel like IMTA. I really don't know if it's gonna be a weak team or like can't push for the top. Because Arrow pretty can, right? Like those guys are pretty good. I think Arrow is still really good. But I just don't know like how this team's gonna play and like where they're gonna fit. I had a lot of trouble ranking these guys.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. But
also,
yeah, I think like I said before, I think it's pretty unlikely that they go lower than like the middle, and they might pop off and go higher. So
I
that's my...
wouldn't be surprised if they went lower. I'd
Fair
be
enough.
surprised if they went lower than 8th. But I have them from like 5th to 8th in that range.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the nice thing about this roster, and I'll come back to it, is that if you look at the current Immortals LCS squad, which in this lock-in tournament, they are 0-3. They are not doing too hot. And I think there's a few players that, like, if this carries on towards the LCS spring split.
Are you really promoting anyone from this academy roster but Arrow if things like go haywire?
It's just Arrow.
I don't think you can plug and play anyone else but Arrow.
I agree.
Sure, but I'm just saying no. So what I'm saying is that if Immortals for the in majority of the spring split, they are not winning games, and there's no way that they can push for playoffs, I think it's completely worth to then give like Chad or Concept a game to play on LCS stage and play against LCS. But I definitely think the best, like the immediate band-aid fix is putting an Arrow over Wild Turtle if Immortals are not finding success.
That's the only change I could see them making tomorrow with their LCS roster.
Yeah. Or if you really wanted to get into it, you would take the whole bot duo, maybe.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, that's a maybe.
Yeah.
But
all right. We've already covered GGA.
So it's Dignitas and FlyQuest are our last two teams
to
talk about.
Oh, is that it?
Rafa, you pick. I think I'm kicking this one off. Or is it you kicking this one off, Rafa?
Let's talk about FlyQuest because I think on average FlyQuest are ranked higher than Dignitas.
Yeah.
So
okay. I ranked FlyQuest too low on my sheet. I need to rank FlyQuest higher.
Sort of my exact sentiment, actually.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I had them below GGA. I would put them above GGA, and I'm pretty sure I had them below IMT. And I honestly think them and IMT are going to be kind of competitive or similar, just because they're both rosters are very clearly developing two people. The thing I like about FlyQuest is that their build makes sense. They are developing Spyrax and Yuji. Philip is also in that boat, and then they have Tomo and Diamond, who are a solid bot lane. I still think that Tomo can, if he improves upon his laning, becomes another good LCS candidate for his position. But I think that is still an area that he can excel in.
I mean, I have to check on Choco for something real quick. So
okay.
All I have to say, because I didn't see any games with Yuji, Spyrax is fucking sick. He's a freak,
yes.
And he should not be on average. Like mid lane is a really stacked role alongside jungle, and I honestly think Spyrax is like can surprise a lot of people and take a lot of games, especially in this control mage meta. If we start shifting back to things like the Rise, in a way, Spyrax will do a lot of cool shit. I also think it's criminal that Tomo didn't play over Johnson.
I agree.
But I understand that they wanted to bring back the Johnson Aframu duo from Dignitas 2 years ago in 2020, I think it was, when they were together. So yeah. But I think
had a really
Tomo,
good game today against 100 Thieves.
They did have a really good game today. And so, like, on face value, I would have preferred to put in Tomo because I thought, especially when FlyQuest had the Academy roster playing during the whole FlyQuest collapse, Tomo was holding his own and playing just as good as the bottom 5 LCS 80 carries. So therefore, Tomo doesn't.
It was him and Kumo that were like really smurfing it in those games for sure.
Well, I mean, NXI too. Like
I think if you went back and watched those lanes, you would be concerned with some of those games.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Tomo was playing Ezreal, and he went even.
I'm thinking
down.
Jhin versus C9 in that game they won. Like he would, they were playing away from him, and that, like he was definitely like not rotating the rifts and like eating waves, which was a decision that teams had to make in that like meta that season. which he had to see those waves, which forced him to like drop a lot more CS. But I think that is the only knock I have on Tomo as a player. He's a great team fighter. He just needs to make sure that he's getting more resources on him early. I think that's the one stride he can really make.
I still think he's better than Johnson, but Johnson did have a really good game today with Aframo.
Okay.
So, I'm willing to, sometimes the bot lane pairing has to work so that the AD carry can shine. But yeah, that's all I have to say about FlyQuest. You guys can talk the rest about the pieces. I'll be right back.
Okay.
He's got a dog. I've actually been selfish. I've been looking at Choco like. I can kind of see more of them like behind the camera. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Choco.
Yeah.
If you guys are listening to this podcast that long, congrats. And I'll give you some of the real shit about Spyrax. So Spyrax, we probably should have seen Spyrax at Scouting Grounds. Now, Spyrax last season had 2 accounts within the top 30 of Challenger. The reason that this would have postured Spyrax in terms of points to actually attend Scouting Grounds as a mid laner. The only reason we did not see Spyrax playing mid in Scouting Grounds is because of the one-trick rule. And no, Spyrax was not a dirty one-trick. It turns out there was a clause that you had to have X amount of games in your 4 most played champions.
15.
Spyrax did not. He was actually playing too many champs on his way to get 2 accounts to top 30. So, this guy's good. And the mid lane promotions, I can see Spyrax and Darkwings. I know that I talked about this on another episode, but they are the 2 mid laners that were in Amateur that had the most flexibility and the least amount of exposure to LCS orgs, and for me, that makes them pretty appealing candidates. I think that Spyrax is... I'm not as excited for Spyrax as I am about Yuji, honestly. I think that Yuji is actually going to really freak some people out. This guy has really good hands.
So,
yeah.
To cut in here, I'm about to admit something very embarrassing, which is that I rated them low because I thought that they promoted Yuli and not Yuji.
Okay, that's tough.
Because their names are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And no hate to Yuli, but I was like, oh, they're promoting the Kane guy from who like played around on some of the amateur teams. No, that is not the case. This is a completely different guy. And then I watched some of his games from Bethany, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm understanding now why this guy got promoted.
This guy's freak hands.
And he's very, very good. And so because of that, I would definitely rate them a lot higher. I have them at 9th on the thing. This is before I realized my mistake. And I think Tomo is one of the best players in his role. I think Spyrax is going to be very good. I do think very highly of Philip as well. I think Philip had a pretty solid set of games in the academy split that he played.
Philip got better, yeah.
Yeah, I thought very highly of Philip by the end. I think this team actually will be pretty good, and I do think that they're taking the right path for development as well. I apologize to anybody who saw my list and thought that that's got the wrong impression of how I feel about this team. That was wrong.
The build to me makes sense. Some more fun stuff about Yuji from the director of Bethany, which is Lucas. He hit Challenger on the Super Server, playing from Mongolia with 150 ping. He's also been Challenger on EUS and NA. He peaked rank 5 and then hit rank 10 or 11. If you go find his account, he's probably high elo at the moment. This guy has really good hands. His English, I guess, has gotten better. And I think that no one knows anything about him. He will surprise people week 1 just because no one knows anything about him. He is mechanically a good player. That is my somewhat bold, not bold, but it will feel like a bold prediction because the community has done the research on this guy. I have FlyQuest probably in the soup or the mosh pit. I think that there are a lot of teams in there that are rolling the dice and a couple players, which we like to see in Academy. We feel like they can get a lot out of them or really improve them throughout the split. I think whichever one of those teams ends up panning out with those players will be the ones that end up good. And I think that Spyrax and Yuji could do well for FlyQuest. And what it's worth, I think the lane of Tomo Diamond is stronger than the lane of Arrow Joey, even if I think Arrow is probably a better laner amongst those and when it comes to builds. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm really curious about FlyQuest. Once again, I feel like we'll have to see how they play. I'm really curious to see how they play.
Yeah. I'm optimistic about FlyQuest. All right. Well, Rafa is not quite back, but I think it's time that we move over to Dignitas. I think Dignitas, we unanimously have them as 10th. Unfortunately. Oh, actually, no. Rafa did have them lower, but
Who does Rafa as his 10th?
He has FlyQuest as 10th.
Whoo! That's okay. That's not good.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Maybe he had a similar experience. Also,
maybe he likes
by the way, shout out to Joshi, who I think had a better read on FlyQuest than we did. He's got them 5th, so good on.
I mean,
Joshi for that.
Preseason I would have kept it the same, but after seeing GGA play and TSM play, I actually would change things up.
Yeah, I would too.
So my preseason rankings, it was what it was, but now that I get data, I want to change things, and that's probably how it should be.
I would not change Dignitas, though. I think they are likely going to
end
up in 10th. The harsh reality of it is that I think Clips is going to be the worst player in the league. I think he had really, really low lows on TSM Amateur. Like very costly ones where Gorica probably would have won the game. Or Doxa, but that's very, very pessimistic and probably and a little mean. So I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I still don't think very highly of JJ. I acknowledge that he did really well with Will on the team, and he was actually enabled quite well by playing secondary engage rather than main engage, which I know Cubby, you're going to say.
Yep.
Looks a lot better on that. His rel was not very good, but then when he moved over to secondary engage, it looked a lot better. So
Prompt Thresh, still real good.
Props to JJ for that. I would like to see a stronger development setup for XU and Darkwings, and I think that we've missed the mark. I don't feel like Spawn got a lot better in the last year. I feel like I feel the same way about Spawn right now that I did this time last year.
Okay. That's harsh, but they are the 10th place team.
That's how I feel.
I think that I agree. I think that Dig's build was like weird. It
was also very late, and we don't know why it was late, but it was.
Yeah. And I do feel like the 2 dev pieces they got in XU and Darkwings, like it does make sense. I think that those are 2 people that are promising at that position.
Did someone say Lawrence XU Zoo?
Yeah, we're talking about Dig now. Also, I'm going to ask you why you have FlyQuest 10th, because that's
no, you're right.
Might be worse than TSM 4th.
So the I will admit that me putting FlyQuest 10th was just so I didn't have to put Dignitas 10th, because it's like someone's got to be 10th, but I don't want to be Dignitas because I just want my boy Lawrence to do well and succeed. I don't want to put him on the 10th place team. But in all reality, if I had to redo this list, like just from like they have like I think unironically XU and Darkwings are going to be the best parts of this team, and they're the youngest players. Whereas
I agree.
So
I don't know. I think that Corky Victor is actually a good meta for Darkwings, but I feel like this guy, like Spyrax, can play in every meta, which is what I really liked about him and why I was higher on him compared to you guys throughout PG of last season. And I think that, I don't know. I just don't like it. It feels like the roster's built like to funnel spawn. That's what the TSMA roster did with Eclipse and with Gorikabot. And I think it's a really different approach, and I'm curious to see if they can make it work, and we'll see. I don't think they can. So I think much like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about Dig. Obviously wish the players the best, but also one of the reasons I think that JJ was picked up, and one of the reasons I think JJ is okay at picking up, is that he is vocal. He's really good at timers. Something his teammates credited him a lot for in the past. And I think that team, the only coach they have is Deus. And they don't have, like, Dig doesn't have a massive staff like the staff that EG was promoting on socials the last couple days. So I think that having a player that has that kind of experience can help get more out of the people around you. And I do think that JJ actually played very well with Dignitas and Proving Grounds and throughout UGP. So, yeah. But
yeah,
could have went with different builds.
Yeah, no, like the thing is that Dignitas Academy, by the end of summer Academy split and going into UGP, were a really strong Academy team. In fact, did they not win UGP? Am I mistaken on that?
They did, yeah.
And now the reason why, I think the biggest reason though, that because when you look at XU over Will, I think is a side grade. In fact, I mean, for me, I'm a little bit more biased to XU than Will. I think XU has a higher seeing than Will does. Dark Wings coming in.
What? Okay.
What do you mean?
Okay.
Are you?
Yeah. No,
I have a similar reaction to Kobe here.
I think Dark Wings replacing Saligo is going to be tough feat at the beginning of the year. But I think by 2022, if Isaac develops and they get the chance to go through multiple metas, Dark Wings can adapt. Spawn, JJ are technically the same. So really the huge plummet for me is going from Lorlo, who was one of the best top laners in UGP, to now going to
come Proving Grounds. Yes.
Yeah, from Proving Grounds overall.
Yes.
Just Lorlo. Yeah,
he scaled hard in summer. Yeah.
Yeah, he scaled super hard. His Akshan was fucking sick. To now Eclipse. And like Eclipse is not only going to be the weakest top laner in this pool, but he's also like, I think Eclipse is like Skytech, where I think there's other top laners that Dignitas could have grabbed that were better development pieces than Eclipse. But I am willing to be proven wrong. And I hope that they can be proven wrong.
I don't know who I'd grab top to throw in there.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think.
Yeah,
this is gonna maybe be another harsh thing from me. Maybe I'm just on one today or something, but I think Eclipse and Concept being in the league is kind of just a product of the state of NA top.
No, I actually think the Concept can be all right. He's gotten really high level. Like, I mean, playing a different style, but I mean, if you look, I don't think it's a state of NA top
promotion. Maybe the most hype promotion for top lane is a mid laner.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you can still. I mean, you can still, like, if you were a team in the offseason, theoretically, you still could have grabbed Lorlo. You still could have grabbed Haunter potentially.
Yeah, why? I don't know why they didn't.
I guess I meant like new NA top.
Yeah.
Because Lorlo should have still been in the league. I think he did so dirty, man. He did so well in Proving Grounds, and now he's just not in the league at all. I think that's a really criminal mistake. Like, if Lorlo was on this team, I'd feel a lot more confident about.
Dignitas would easily be a mid-range team if Lorlo was.
I actually agree. I think that I'd feel a lot better, even despite my admitted bias against JJ. I think I would be a lot more confident in this team's success if Lorlo was still on the team.
Okay. All right, so I guess that's our academy preview.
yeah, that's all the teams.
All right, so we got to give some predictions now for UGP. The two teams that are getting out of every group, and then we wrap. So starting off with Group A. And I honestly, Sam, do you have the sheet to share with a chat by chance?
Share with me because I don't know jack shit about this.
So
you're gonna be surprised at where things are at.
Yeah, probably. I did tweet my predictions,
okay.
So I'll be reading those off. But I'll put this in host chat for you, Mark.
I've got it in stream chat,
in Twitch chat. Okay.
Oh,
we have it twice.
Wait, do we have? I think it's two different sheets.
Oh, do I have? Did I find the wrong thing?
Hold on. All right, so here we go.
That's the OQ one.
Group A.
That's the OQ one.
All right, so Group A here, Mark. We've got the winner of 100 Thieves Next and no team qualifies as the 1 seed. The loser plays the winner of Radiance and Team Ambition, and that winner of that qualifies for the 2 seed. So while we're touching on the Academy preview, 100 Next, who would be a top 4 Academy team, if they played tomorrow, I have them qualifying as seed 1, and I have no team beating Radiance again and qualifying as seed 2. Mark.
That is exactly my prediction.
Yeah. Are you differing from that, Mark? Radiance is the team with Porsche, Bluster, and Crimson, and Raheem Lightpulse. No team has Dragoon, Griffin, Blaze, Scooped, and the artist formerly known as Plux.
Yep.
I think I still have 100 Thieves Next and no team getting out as the 2.
Okay.
The only differential, I think Team Ambition will beat Radiance. From what I've heard.
Okay, Team Ambition actually did play. They did take a game off 100 Next. It is worth mentioning that.
Yeah.
All right, Group B. Golden Guardians Academy versus Wildcard Gaming. That is actually high-key a banger matchup. Just throwing that one out there. Yes. And then Bay State Maroon versus University of California Irvine, who did take a game off of GGA. Collegiate matchup. Really preview there on the bot side. Yeah, 2 teams we got getting out. Anyone differing from GGA and Wildcard? Anyone saying Wildcard is the 1 seed?
I have Golden Guardians and UC Irvine getting out.
Ooh, so no wild card.
Nope.
Okay.
I don't have wild card. Worth noting that Rhino's not on the team anymore.
It is worth noting that, yeah.
What? Wait, what happened?
We cannot share. He signed a contract.
Yeah, he signed a contract.
Wait. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we can't share yet. Rhino, yeah, but Pocus is playing now instead of Rhino.
Yeah. That heavily influenced my decision.
Okay.
I don't think Pocus is that much of a downgrade to Pocket Rhino.
I think Rhino is a big part of how Alorum, Griffin, Zeus played, and I think that is how Wildcard plays right now.
I have GGA 1 and Wildcard 2. But I think that Wildcard will play GGA pretty well.
Damn.
I think that Stromp and Alorum can... I think Alorum is better than Tony Top, and I think Stromp can at least hang around with Ryoma. And Griffin obviously hang around with Iconic. I think that the top side of Wildcard's better. I'm just worried about Stixay Chime against Pogus.
Yeah, for me, I was kind of curious about this, the way Golden Guardians Academy have been playing. And obviously, like, you know, it's not about, like, if they can, you know, they just played against LCS caliber teams. They, quote unquote, should be ready to handle Wildcard, who mostly have, you know, ex-Academy players, right? With, you know, and a couple of them have had LCS experience as well in Griffin and Alorum. But I was thinking, like, is there something like Burnout that could be playing an effect where Golden Guardians are playing game after game after game after game? Like, I you know, I don't know if, like, how much rest a team needs or a player needs from playing stage games back to back. But it has been a lot of stage games back to back. And so, you know, I don't know if Golden Guardians would benefit from a day of not playing stage games and just, like, taking some time to breathe. And, you know, if Rhino was still in this, I think Wildcard would have actually been the one to beat Golden Guardians Academy over. But now we have a different lineup. Obviously, I don't know how. I haven't seen any of the games, so I guess I'll go with the safe bet of Golden Guardians Academy and Wildcard as the 1 and 2 seed.
All right. So then I think, Sam, why does UC Irvine get through?
I am pretty excited about this team. I think that they have really, really solid pieces. Obviously, Cinnamon Bread needs no introduction. Barrick played really, really well against Golden Guardians Academy. I think he was my big highlight standout. And I also think that Kim Down is very solid. So I think they're definitely going to beat Bay State, and then I have them beating Wildcard after that.
Cool.
I don't think they can beat Wildcard. But I will say they have a good idea of how to use solo lanes to transition that power in the jungle. I appreciated that from UCI.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Duong Pro looked a lot better than I thought he would.
Appreciated that from UCI.
Yeah.
They actually had a good idea of how to do that. Group C. Group C, Mark, things got a little bit wild in Group C. You ready for this?
Very much so, yeah.
We had a double upset in the first round. So Winthrop beat Immortals AoE, and Supernova lost to Dare Gaming.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know who Dare Gaming is that much.
They were the OQ surprise. They were the 20th seed in OQs.
They ended up 6th seed for the tournament.
Wow.
So I am still
they're very, very good.
still constituting that as an upset but I think from now on we have to start paying some respect to Dare.
Yeah.
So Dare versus Winthrop. Fuck, I have the 20th seed from OQ being a 1 seed getting out of that group.
Yeah. I agree.
They match up really well.
My initial prediction is already wrong because I had Immortals as 1st seed, and that's impossible now. But my predictions were Immortals and Dare getting out.
Oh,
I think it's going to be the other way around.
Is there the team
Limo?
Where the Zinzao, he made like a crazy Zinzao engage or something.
Yeah,
right?
The clip that Steve shared. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was a really good play. But yes, that's Dare. Dare is very, very good. I think they're going to be 1st seed as well, and then I think Immortals is following them up after that.
I don't know anything about this. But I'm excited to hear that Winthrop upset Immortals.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Really close series.
They did not respect the shit that Winthrop can throw at them. They got some comfort picks, and they used them very well. Shout out to Ivano, Cassiopeia, and Gangplank.
Ivano!
Yeah.
Ivano Cassio hard carried one fight and also ran it down like 8 times.
Correct. But it still went off that fight. They needed it.
That one fight was all it took.
And the Mabud Gangplank, too.
True.
Did not respect that. So, yeah.
I will be the agent of chaos, and also what's happening is I see that Frost Forest is a sub for this team. How come he's not starting? Do we know anything about that?
Yes, I'll tell you after.
Okay. All right. Well,
the reason we used on stream is because he has COVID.
Keep it simple.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, okay. Well, that sucks. Okay. Well, I don't know anything about Dare. Dare sounds lit, though.
They're sweet.
I'll take Winthrop and Immortals. All
right, just be Age of Chaos.
I don't think I have really any merit
That's
in
fine.
predictions.
That's fine. Okay. For Group D, we have Maryville versus Taco Gaming, as Taco Gaming 2-0'd EG Prodigies. Or 2-1, my bad. 2-1 EG Prodigies. So one of those two teams gets out. The loser of that plays the winner of EG Prodigies versus Dinka Never Homeless Again. So Dinka's team.
I'm seeing something different. I'm seeing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's fine. You don't see that. It's all good.
Wait, what? What are you seeing?
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about it yet.
Okay.
Sam's seeing that as well. Yeah.
I
Anyway.
found it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Also, Rafa checked DMs. So yeah, that's what's up. That can't be said yet. So anyway.
Maryville, EG Prodigies, hang on. Let's fucking go!
Oh.
All right. So. Interesting.
Wow. I have Maryville and EG getting out in that order. I had that at the start of the group stage. I had Maryville first seed and EG second, and I think that is going to still happen.
I have Taco Gaming and Maryville getting out. Or no.
In that order?
I have Taco Gaming and EGP getting out in that order.
Okay. You don't think Maryville's going to do it?
It's so bad. God damn it. Oh my.
I don't know.
I don't even know what you sent him.
Yeah. Anyway, so I might have sent Rafa some news that I can't share on a podcast, but I can share with Mark's DMs, given what our job is. So, I actually think that I really want to see Taco Gaming win because I want to see Niles versus Faisal. I think that's actually a really good top lane matchup, and I want to see if Faisal can hang with Niles. The reason I have Taco Gaming getting through is that I think that Maryville has had a really good strategy for this tournament, which is we're going to play with range, we're going to play Twisted Fate so we can make plays, and we're going to play with Ornn, right? Niles is an amazing Ornn player.
Yeah.
I think Taco Gaming can break this with Trickster and Doxa. That's exactly how they beat EGP. I think they beat Maryville doing the same thing. And then I actually like EGP's matchup in Maryville. I think that'd be a really fun series. I really want to see that best of 3 to like life or death. So anyway. All right. Rafa, you good?
We need to cut the stream in a second so Rafa can pop off. Assuming this is going to be public information eventually.
Yeah, no, yeah. Once we know why this is public, this will be very funny. So you guys will all understand, given Mark's background. So anyway, that said, though, we have gotten through all the info we needed to get through the stream. And guys, it only took 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. So, we're on time as always.
We were on track for a 3-hour stream, and we like got through the.
I started pushing the tempo a little bit.
Yeah, it worked.
We talked for TSM about 25 minutes.
We really like Academy, guys. Please watch Academy. These two are going to be casting it this week.
Starting Wednesday.
It's going to be so good. Tune into the Academy stream on Wednesday and Thursday for Academy.
Yeah, so real quick plugs.
For those group predictions as well, tomorrow and Tuesday, you can find me on the Academy stream for Unified. That's going to be really fun. All the gameplay this week is going to be amazing. Lock In's going to finish up group stage 2. It's going to be a great week of North American League of Legends. Definitely check it out.
Anything else you want to plug, Mark?
Support Proving Grounds, baby. Watch Academy stream pretty much all week. Qualifiers Monday, Tuesday, Academy Wednesday, Thursday, and then keep supporting all of NA League of Legends as the lock-in continues this weekend. So
yeah, no, I'm really excited. Academy boots up 1 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday. Unified streams boot up 3 p.m. Pacific the next 2 days. Also, follow the Path to LCS account, as that is a brand new account and is supporting both scenes. And there will be content starting to populate that account that you guys might enjoy if you like following Amateur and Academy. And also, the Academy casters are doing a Reddit AMA tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys want to ask us any questions, or any of the other Academy casters, or any of the staff in there, please feel free to hop in that Reddit thread and ask us anything. And with that said, Sam?
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. We're super close to 800 Twitch followers now. After this, we're like 3 away or something.
Pogers.
Incredible support over the past couple of weeks for not only us but also all Proving Grounds. Really appreciate that. The players deserve the love. The scene deserves the hype, and I'm so glad that we can help be a part of that. That's been our entire cause and dream for the past year. So thank you for helping us do that. And you can support us and follow us specifically on our accounts. We got Twitter at pgroundspod. We have our audio platforms for both Raising an A and Proving Grounds Pod. You can find them at the same spot on Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google, and Apple Podcasts. And yeah, with that, we already talked about this in our last Proving Grounds Pod episode. We're still in a state of flux with the schedule. We're going to try to keep doing these shows weekly. It just might be on different days. So
Yeah.
we're going to find out
Sunday
as
would
the
be
season
our
goes along.
I will say Sunday will be our ideal day for Raising NA.
For this, the
Yeah.
podcast,
Well-
we have to figure it out because of Super Weeks this year.
Yep. So it's going to be tough. But yeah, hope you stick around with us. We're going to try to figure it out. And like I said, keep doing this weekly. So yeah, have a great night. We'll see you all next time on Proving Grounds Spawn and Raising an A. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.